Okay, now I know a lot of people are very upset with this clip, and a lot of people are going to be marching and protesting and rioting over what happened in Wisconsin to this man. And I know a lot of people are very emotional about it, and a lot of people feel very sad about it. I as well am very sad about it too. Nobody deserves to be shot and killed in front of their wife and children. But with that being said, we have to look at the whole picture, right? So these police officers commanded that this man stop resisting and comply to their orders. He does not. He continues to walk into his car, and here's the thing with that. The police officers do not know what this man has in his car. He could be reaching for a gun. He could be reaching for, any kind of, lethal weapon, or, who knows, right? Now, if you're an officer and the person you are trying to arrest is not complying, he's going into his car, reaching for something that we don't know what it is, right? It only takes a split second. It only takes a split second for that man to grab a gun, turn around, and shoot the officers. And there's a lot of clips of situations where officers will not use deadly force. I see a lot of people saying that, oh, well, they could have tased him, they could have done this, they could have done that, non-lethal, could have used non-lethal force. But the problem is, there are plenty of clips you can find where a police officer will deploy a taser on the person they're trying to apprehend, and he will essentially fight back with lethal force. There was one that I saw the other day where a police officer deployed a taser, and the suspect, he was down, and he gets right back up with the machete and starts hacking at the police officer, like literally hacking at him. I don't know what the end result was. I don't know if the police officer is okay or not. I just saw the clip. And there's plenty of other clips you can find where, police officers don't use lethal force and they are, killed or injured, by some sort of lethal weapon as a result. So it's very important that people understand these types of situations are life or death for either party, and it only takes one split second, for something to result in death for an officer. So as an officer, when the suspect is not complying, he reaches into the car, that right there is a red flag. Okay, he could be reaching for a gun, and as an officer, you have literally a split second to make that call. Do I deploy lethal force or do I not? And those officers decided to deploy lethal force, I think justifiably, right? And a lot of people might disagree with that, but the thing is, it's a really hard call to make for an officer, right? I mean, you have to understand, they have wives and children at home too, you know what I mean? And if I was an officer, I'm not going to, essentially risk, me getting shot because, I decided not to, use lethal force. It's my life or his at that point, right? And a lot of people just aren't understanding that. And the worst part about it is what happened is going to result in rioting and looting and all sorts of social chaos. And, you look at the headlines from the media, it's totally skewed against the police. It's totally skewed against the officers in the situation, as it always is. And you can read the headlines for yourself, and, they always include the race. Black man was shot and killed by police in front of wife and children. It's not, man shot, non-compliant man shot by police, after, resisting. It's always skewed against the police. So you have to ask yourself, Well, why is it always that the media skews this in the opposite direction, in favor of the suspect and against the police? And you have to ask, what is the agenda here? Because if you don't think the media has an agenda in 2020, then you need to really reevaluate a lot of the things that you think are true, because there's a clear agenda here. The agenda is anti-police. The agenda is total in favor of these lawless riots and protests, right? The media will always say they're peaceful protests, but we know that that is not true. There have been a handful of peaceful protests, but there's also been so much rioting, destruction, death, looting, utter lawlessness. And this will never end unless we put a stop to this agenda that the media pushes. And we need to support our police officers, and we have to look at the situations objectively and not emotionally. And that's my take on it.